All right. Welcome, welcome. Hello, welcome to this live
Hello.
stream. Meet the
Hi.
Miniaturist. We are a minute early, so we're going to wait for some folks to join and then we can start the program. So welcome, welcome. Say hello in the chat box if you are just joining, because I love to hear from you guys. So please say hello in the chat box. Tell me where you're joining from. Um, Tell me who you might be excited to be seeing today, because I'm sure there are some fans who are joining today to see some of their favorites um, from Best in Miniature. So say hello. I also want to make sure that the chat box is working, guys. So please, hold on. Let's see. Panels can chat with everyone. Attendees can chat with everyone. So hello. Oh, there it comes. It always takes a minute. And I always get nervous, but then it populates. Welcome, guys. Hey, Louisville. Hey, Chicago. Hi, Julie. Good to see everybody. Welcome, welcome. People are still joining, so I'm going to wait another minute. Jessica from Canada. Nice. Hi, Joanne. Oh, we got a couple of Canadians. I'm going to assume we're going to be more Canadians coming. Terry in Connecticut. Good to see you. Awesome. Great, great, great. Hi, Delia. I see some familiar names, which is always great. Hey, Darlene. Good program today. We hope it's going to be a good program, Pat. It's always a good program. So let me go ahead and start. Thank you so much for joining this Meet the Miniaturist broadcast. My phone just fell on the floor. This is a very special Meet the Miniaturist, because we are going to be having a whole bunch of special guests on today. But before we begin the program, I wanted to give you a little bit of housekeeping on what's going on in my miniature world, just on some of the programs I've had in the past and some of that might be coming that are coming up, including my new Miniversity program. So yeah, I just had my first Miniversity program, which is all about learning and growing and teaching things that relate to this wonderful mini world that we have. Just had my first one on February 8th. Stay tuned for more. And that one was all about how to spot a really great miniature. So I have a whole bunch of great topics coming up, from DIY projects to lectures to special guests, etc. That is not going to replace my Meet the Miniatures program, because we're still going to be doing that. So look for that. I also had to have a How to Sell Your Adored Miniature Collection webinar coming up on Saturday, February 24th. This is a very popular webinar that I offer probably 3 or 4 times a year. So look for that. Donald's on with us. Say hello to Donald in the chat box. He's going to be helping us with behind the scenes, and he's going to be posting some of the links. I also have another Meet the Miniaturists coming up at later this month, which actually early in March, which is going to include a whole bunch of artists who are going to be showcasing at the upcoming London Dolls House Miniature Fest, which is in London, clearly. So look for that. That's coming up on March 2nd. And we're going to put the registration links in. Thank you, Donald, for posting those. So if you go ahead and just save those or click them on now, you can get to them later on. So you look for that. I also have an estate sale coming up, because that's my base business. What I do, I resell, I handle estates, and I sell miniatures. And this is one of my latest collections. It's actually this gentleman from New England who's downsizing, and I'm helping him find new homes for some of his treasures. And that includes this beautiful room box filled with amazing miniatures. It's a James Damiano collection. I have a preview gallery posted on my website. You can go ahead and look at some of the close-ups of some of these items that are going to be for sale. I don't have a date yet for when the sale is, but look for it. It's going to come up in the next month, but I'm going to preview it over the next several weeks, so it can give folks a little bit of taste of what it's all about. But it is some extraordinary miniatures made by some wonderful artists, including Tarbana, Alan Barnes. I'm looking at Pete Acquisto Silver. There's paintings. There's beautiful, beautiful rugs. There's pottery. There's ceramic. There's okay, it goes on. I'm not, yeah. Anyway, I had fun putting that together today. Just putting it putting it together just so I could put it on here. Anyway, you could follow me on my social links. I'm going to post those there. Donald's going to post those for us. And you could also catch previous Meet the Miniaturist broadcasts on my YouTube channel. So with that, I would like to introduce our first guest, Lisa Hicks. She's actually the show producer for the upcoming international IMOMA show in Las Vegas. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. She's going to tell us a little bit about the show that's coming up and all of the exciting things that are happening. And then we're going to bring up our best in miniature guests. So, Lisa, tell us about the show that's coming up.
Yeah, hi Darren. Thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on again. I'm excited that you get to
Yeah.
interview the season 3 cast of Best in Miniature today. They are coming to MiniCon to have their reunion and be minfluencers for the show. So we're super excited about that. But I'm just going to do a little short intro to IMOMA and just kind of something real fast. So IMOMA stands for International Market of Miniature Artisans. This is our 3rd annual show. It is a 4-day, fun-filled, super packed, exciting mini-con. It's happening at the newly renovated Palace Station Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. It's a 4-day show. It's 2 days wholesale, 2 days retail. Wholesale buyers do have to pre-register online, but retail tickets are sold online and in person. One thing I like to do is just tell people why our show's different.
Mm.
One, because all miniature scales and all types of miniatures matter to us. We hashtagged all scales matter. We love
Hmm.
all different types of miniature art at our show, which is why we call ourselves MiniCon.
Ah.
And we just have so many fun and exciting things happening this year. We have a ginormous raffle this year. We haven't done a big raffle in our 3 years in existence. So that's going to be super fun. We have auctions, we have live demonstrations, we have video content creators in the room. We have a videographer doing dealer and buyer interviews,
Mm.
some stop motion animation using miniatures in the room going on. We have press coverage again. We also have a fun mini hall photo booth that's newly improved by Paris from PRD Miniatures this year. He built a new one for us and it's absolutely amazing. So to take your mini hall photos of your purchases this year is going to be exciting, and it's right next to our minfluencer table.
Yeah.
So that's fun. We're also we're just taking entertaining the guests like really seriously. So we've improved a lot in terms of added excitement around the showroom this year. Last year we had, I believe, 744 people in attendance. That was
Nice.
amazing. This year we have a fun excursion trip planned to a few local spots in Las Vegas that feature miniatures. There's a restaurant and the Office of Collecting and Design, which
Oh.
features miniature DIY artists and stuff. So that's going to be a little fun excursion trip that we're offering, and those tickets are available on our website. We
Mm.
have a full 3-course social networking dinner on Saturday. I believe our tickets are sold out. We're going to be at 100 people capacity. It's happening at the Cinnabar Lounge, which is at the Palace Station just outside their movie theater. It's really upscale. It's just a fun environment. It's a bar loungy environment instead of a banquety style. So that's new and improved as well. Um,
Nice.
yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's a
Yeah.
great place to, instead of just coming to shop at a show, we really like to just kind of get people to engage and just get to know each other, make new friends. So at that
Yeah.
dinner, we have an exciting raffle happening. We have a game happening at the dinner. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We also have free kids workshops this year. Our kids
Beautiful.
workshops being sponsored by Lego and Lugs
Oh,
Las Vegas.
beautiful.
Legos are a miniature in a way, right?
That's that they are. That is for sure.
So yeah, so it's going to be a competition style, and that's happening on Saturday and Sunday for the kids. It's free. We have 7 adult workshops this year. I don't want to get into them, all of them, but all of the information about that's also on our website. And one exciting thing is we're doing our first ever miniature toy photography competition this year.
Okay. Yeah.
So photographers or dealers or anybody that loves to take pictures of miniatures, whether it's any type of miniature, can join the contest. And they're going to have to be it's going to be judged. There's first, second, third place prizes, which are ginormous, even toys for a year from our local toy store in Las Vegas Road.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
toys for a
Yeah.
year. That's
Did
crazy.
did you talk about the dates again? Can you
I, yeah, I was going
repeat
to
the
give those.
dates?
Yep, I'll give those to you. And then I just want to tell you a little bit about the Minfluencer program. They're really popular. They're well-followed social media influencers. They've done press tours, podcasts, create miniature content for the community across all platforms. We kind of coined that term Minfluencer and started inviting some of them to the show to help
Yeah.
cross promote our brand and their brand. Their bios are on our website, and then you'll get to meet the Best in Miniature cast today that are coming as well to take part in that. Their Best in Miniature cast is scheduled to be at the influencer table both retail days, Saturday and Sunday. Our wholesale starts on Thursday, February 22nd, and
Mhm.
it's 2 days. And then our retail show is Saturday and Sunday, the 24th and the 25th. And then the last thing I want to add is just that
Mhm.
our local artist and my good friend who helps me promote the show is Susan Henry of Candy Constantly. She was a contestant on Best in Miniature.
And she's with us today.
Today, I want to thank her for putting all of this together. And
Awesome.
there is so much information on our website. Please follow us on Instagram at imoma.lv and go to our website for all tickets and more information. And that is www.imomalv.com. You can Google Vegas Miniature Show and it's
Yeah. Yeah,
pop up.
we plopped all that information. It's in the chat box now. You guys can go link on it now or copy and paste it. But that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is just
a lot of fun
awesome.
and exciting
You
stuff.
know, I think you really have elevated, the show circuit and made it much more of an event than it's ever been before. And I think you really brought it to a great new place. And I'm so excited by everything you're doing for
Thank you.
sure. So,
Thank
and it's quite an accomplishment to get so many of the cast members from Best in Miniature to your event. And yeah, and I'm just kicking myself that I didn't book a trip in time to
I
get
haven't,
there.
I didn't mention that there's season 1 and season 2 cast members coming too.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for taking us through that. And again, we put the links there. There's still availability, I guess. I'm assuming if folks want to get a ticket when they
Oh,
get there, they can actually join the fun and attend. So look for that. So with that, and just taking that, like I said, they're taking this whole show circuit to a whole new level with this minfluencer idea and this mini con idea. And what better way to do that than bringing in these cast members from Best in Miniature? So I want to just give you a little bit of a background on Best in Miniature, which is a reality-based TV show. And while it is Canadian and UK-based only in terms of being able to see it, we are going to have the opportunity to chat with some of the cast members, most of the cast members, in just a moment. But before we do that, I do want to set it up by showing you, in case you haven't seen this, a little bit about what Best in Miniature is.
This is Best in Miniature.
I'm making some magic happen. I'll try this at home.
The most epic miniature showdown.
Just don't be the worst.
Where artists pour their heart and souls into creating fantasy houses.
You think control chaos? If something's going to be.
One tiny room at a time.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I'm a trace.
It's working.
This season, 10 miniaturists from across Canada and beyond will unleash their creative superpowers.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Crafting petite wonders in 1/12 scale while racing against the clock.
Oh, man. Time crunch. Girl, we ain't got time.
Sizing up their skills is miniature maven Emma Waddell.
It is gorgeous. I love it. It's disgusting.
Perfect.
And interior design whiz Michael Lambie.
I'm in awe of what you created.
Every week, they'll decide whose delicate dreams have come to an end and who's got what it takes to move forward and claim a prestigious residency and a grand prize valued at $15,000.
Don't expect anything normal.
I'm Abba Makwando, and welcome to the world of Best in Miniature.
So that is a little bit about Best in Miniature, and we are so fortunate to have 7 of the cast members here, including Susan Henry. I know as well, Susan Kennedy. Great to see you, Susan. Thank you for joining. It's so great to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So we're gonna get to introduce each of the cast members, and each will be able to tell us a little bit about each other. So folks at home, please feel free to use the chat box if you have questions. If we can get to them, we will. If not, maybe at the end we'll be able to get to them. So definitely use that. So with that, thank you so much for joining, Susan. Good to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your experience on Best in Miniature.
Sure. My name is Susan Kennedy Henry. I live here in Las Vegas, which is kind of nuts. And I work as a fundraiser. I work for a member NPR station here in Las Vegas. If anyone's familiar with the news, it's NPR stands for National Public Radio, and that is a national news organization. I got into miniatures. Actually, I've always been into miniatures somewhat, but I didn't really indulge in miniatures until I bought my very first dollhouse in 2018. And like many people during the pandemic, I just had nothing better to do than actually it was the best thing to do. It was great to create a whole world to escape into during the pandemic, and that's how I came to miniatures.
Yeah. Well, you have an interesting story to tell in that you did a lot of work after you were on the show. You completed a project, and that was really something you were super focused on doing. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the project, I'm actually still working on it right now. It's right
Oh,
behind me. It's the redemption build that I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
I was first eliminated on the show if you haven't seen it. But I felt so strong about the concept of the house, and even Michael Lambie had said that the house deserved to be executed in the way that it needed to be executed, which was to have the proper time behind it, and also, you know, just to be able to do some more planning for it. So this is the I've called it, my original name was the Xanadu House. The show had renamed it to a Utopian Deco House, which I think is actually a better name because it's a little bit more accurate. And I've been building it between well, I mean, it's more ideal to work, you know, to work on it on the set because you have it 24, you know, you're just there and you have a, you know, crew and you can focus. Right now I've got a full-time job and everything, so it's a little bit difficult to kind of get in between, but weekends and evenings I'm with this house.
So how long have you been making miniatures? Have you been into it a long time, or you said when you got to Vegas it really kicked in?
It really kicked in. I think the reason why Vegas was fun to sort of release was because I actually have space to do it. I lived in New York City before and you didn't really have a lot of space. I did love miniatures. There were some favorite miniature artists I had in New York. For example, Patrick Jacobs. He displays out of the Pierogi Valley.
Patrick Jacobs.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I've seen him actually featured by you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful work.
Beautiful.
I think I was always a spectator and somebody who enjoyed collecting and observing miniatures, but it wasn't until I bought the dollhouse here that I was able to really indulge that love of it.
Right. Yeah. Super. Super. All right. Well, that is awesome. I just also want to recognize that you helped really pull this all together. So before we move, I don't want to forget that. So thank you for really helping pull this together and
I wanted
getting
to just
everybody
say
on
thanks
board.
to everybody, for that, because you know Vegas is the great place for this. It's a city of spectacle, and everybody who was on the show was just enthusiastic about Las Vegas from the get-go. So I'm so happy that they all went to me.
You could just roll out of bed and head over onto the show. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. All right. Very cool. Well, so stay. I hope you can stay because we're going to bring everybody up later in case there are any other questions. And I know I will have questions for sure. So why don't we bring up Mike Frazier? Mike Frazier is from High School Creations online on Instagram. And you're very well known for your super, super hyper realistic miniatures and pushing those boundaries. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. And you also combine lots of different techniques and materials in your build. So yeah, I would love for people to hear more about that.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, Darren. Yeah, Mike Frazier. I go by High School Creations all around the internet. I kind of for years kind of hid behind that name, and now just recently come out as who I am, Mike Frazier. But yeah, I started being really creative again when my kids were born back in 2017. I started drawing and posting pictures from like high school, actually, where I got my name. I used to be that kid that drew in the back and made weird doodles. And I finally found those like 12 years later, digitalized them and started posting them. And I didn't want to post as myself. So I just made up a quick name, High School Creations, and it stuck. but I've been building ever since. I like the idea of creativity and challenges and doing a hybrid approach with hands-on techniques and technology. And I really try to do the hyper realistic look. I really like the city look, but I'm starting to dabble into terrains and stuff like that now. So I just have fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. So how, like, what makes you decide to use one thing versus another? Do you do a lot? Is there a lot of sort of trial and error? How do you get to, okay, I'm going to use the laser for this? Or, I mean, just like, what's your process?
Definitely in the early beginnings, like I would see something done, let's say bricks, right? And I hand built bricks with like pins, like just carving into the foam. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I started using like a straight edge and a ruler. And then I found, CNCs could do it. So I bought a small CNC. And then I was like, well, that's still not the friction, all the foam, dust, and all this. And I was like, what else could I do this with? And then I started looking at lasers, right? And then lasers opened the door. Like I was a kid with scissors cutting everything, right? My wife was like, "Hey, there's something missing from the kitchen." Well, I took it to engrave our name on it.
Right,
So it just became a ramp up period. As soon as I realized I could do something with it, then I just press it to its limits to find out where I could break it. And if I couldn't break it, I kept experimenting with it. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite part about it is the challenges with building and how to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I'm struck by, I mean, I have to give a credit to the producers because they really rounded out the range of talents and skills and abilities and visions and, and putting in what you do versus what someone else might do who might be much more geared to traditional dollhouse. I love how those pieces come together. How was it for you being in, let's say, thrown into a dollhouse world when you might not necessarily be familiar with that or interested in that? Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was very interesting because I'm into miniatures. I definitely, saw this opportunity to challenge myself and grow and meet these amazing artists and also Emma and Michael and challenge me to get better, right? That's the thing I want to do is every day get better. And so this was a new opportunity, some green grass I'd never stepped on before. And I knew I could do the exterior, but when it came to the interiors, I was really intimidated. So, I just stuck in there. You might notice I'm pretty quiet during the show, but it's because I'm putting everything in there, trying to make sure I can do my best for stuff that I've never even seen sometimes, right? Like the pottery. I'd never touched miniature pottery before, but I did it. And I hope that inspires people, right? Don't, step out, do something different.
So were there some things literally that you had no frame of reference for? Like you had never seen a miniature pottery, or like what was your biggest surprise?
I'm gonna be honest here. Just about every episode, there was something I've never done before.
Never done. Right. Or never been interested or never even looked into. Like it's not, that's not on your Instagram feed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I primarily build for action figures, 67-inch figures, 1/12 scale, which is ironically dollhouse scale.
Right.
But most of my stuff is for toy photographers or videographers or stop motion. So the idea of dollhouse, which we couldn't say dollhouse on the show, is definitely miniatures.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it was totally different. But I brought what I knew I could do well, which is a lot of grungy, realistic look into it. And I just honed in on what I knew I was good at and tried to bring that into the challenge.
Awesome. I love that they brought all those worlds together because miniatures is not just about dollhouse. We love dollhouse, but it's so much more. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Why don't we bring up August Ricci from Queens. So New Yorker, hello. Welcome. So great to have you. Thank you for joining. Tell us a little bit about yourself and talk a little bit about your experience on Best in Miniature.
Hey guys, so it's actually August Rich.
Sorry, August
actually,
Rich.
No, it's fine. You pronounced it the French way, so I'll take that.
Ricci.
So I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Yay.
I am a multifaceted artist. I pretty much dabble in all types of mediums. Best in Miniature, my experience with being on that show was probably one of the best things I've ever experienced in my entire life. I would say like I started working with miniatures maybe 2018, but as Susan mentioned with the pandemic, we had nothing to do. And pretty much, I just got to just picking up different material and working on stuff. So with being on Best in Miniature, it was more about learning as opposed to winning. And the amount of time that I was for the amount of time that I was there, which wasn't that long, but I was able to just learn and grasp so much. So it was.
So what was your first exposure to miniatures just at all? I mean, was it before COVID or?
So actually, there's a miniaturist that I follow, Luke Towen on YouTube,
I don't know
and
that.
I saw his videos. He creates like a lot of landscapes and
Ah,
all types of dioramas. So back in 2018, I saw it and I'm like, this is really cool. I want to try to make one. So I made like a little dumpster scenery, but again, as Susan mentioned, living in New York City, you don't have a lot of space.
so
So
true.
the one and only one that I did at the time, and in the pandemic, I moved, so I was able to get a 1 bedroom apartment, and from
Ah,
that moment, it was just building, building, building. So now
yeah.
my pictures are eating me alive.
It is so true. People don't understand miniatures. First of all, they take up a lot of room, and you do need a lot of room. So for sure, it's not something that you could take. You know, yes, you need room.
Sure, for sure. So, I'm very fortunate to have my space, and between supplies and not just the miniatures alone, just the supplies itself,
Yeah,
they take up so much space. So,
yeah.
I'm really happy for the space that I have and able to recreate like New York scenes and just pay homage to where I'm from.
So what do you love to do within miniatures? Is it scene? Is it diorama? What is it? And materials. What do you like to use? What materials do you love?
It's a bit of a mix, honestly. It's whatever I'm vibing with for the day. I love making little small rooms. That's why
Mhm.
being on the show was a bit of a challenge because I've never made anything that big.
Yeah.
I prefer to make like little small things that just invoke some type of nostalgia. So being from New York City, most of the things that you see are like, oh, the Statue of Liberty or
Yeah.
the One World Trade. But I wanted to bring like an actual real feel of what New York is. So I'll show you real quick. This is
Oh
a
yeah.
mini
Classic telephone.
booth. So
Paid telephone. Yeah.
created out of cardboard. There's some foam in here. I made the phone out of clay. There's a little bit of wire. So it's a bit of
Awesome.
a mix. Miniatures allows me to pretty much use all of my talents into one. So I'm
Yeah.
able to dabble in my graphic design and make my little labels, or I'm able to
Yeah.
go into like messing around with clay, and I love making food. So it's like this is like the best place to be being in
Yeah.
miniatures because I literally get to use all of my talents.
Yeah, that is for sure. Miniatures encompasses so many different disciplines and skills and materials. So absolutely. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Stay tuned. Will you come back? We're going to bring everybody's video up later so we can ask more questions and in case anybody else has any questions. So guys, if you have any questions, do chat in the chat box. But in the meantime, we're going to bring up Tiffany Monk. Also a Canadian. Hi, Tiffany. Good to see you.
Hi.
Yay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, you have a background in TV and film, right? And
Yeah.
also, miniatures are all new to you. So we need to hear about that.
Yeah. Um, as you haven't seen the show, you might not know that I'm from England originally. So if you hear
Oh,
my funny accent, if you're expecting Canadian. Yes, my background is in model making and sculpting for live action film, prop making, and stop motion animation, which was always my favorite thing to work on. I'm not an animator, but I would make the puppets and sets and tiny props. But stop motion tends to be a larger scale than 1/12. So yeah, I didn't know that the world of miniatures was so big. Like I had no idea that this is
Yeah.
all going on out there until I saw season 1 of Best in Miniature.
So that was like your first frame of reference that, oh, there's this world of miniatures.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So what's the biggest I don't know, surprise in terms of where you come from and the discipline of model making and prop making and tell me how that transition was, and were there some skills that maybe did not transfer? Talk a little bit about that, the differences.
I suppose really all the skills involved in model making can be applied to miniatures.
They're all the same. Yeah. Okay.
Really, it's just a smaller scale. It's
So-
getting your head around the scale as well.
Yeah.
And how
Right.
tiny 1/12 scale actually is.
So it was a relatively easy transition?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. I hadn't been model making for the last 4 years or so since moving. I moved from Vancouver to rural Quebec. So
Oh,
I'd been painting and focusing on 2D, like oil paintings and things, because
wow.
there aren't many opportunities to work on films in the countryside where I live.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
without having to commute to Montreal or something. I just sort of totally shifted gears and was painting and working on that. But seeing Best in Miniature, I thought, oh my God, I want to do that. I love
Yeah.
making things,
Yeah.
and I've forgotten it. I just, because I hadn't done it for so long, I'd forgotten how much I love it. So I
Yeah.
started just dabbling. I thought, well, I'll make some little books, and that evolved into a room box. And this is all 2022 was when
Yeah.
I
Wow.
so
It just happened. So do you feel like you're now that the bug has hit and this is it? Like, I mean, do you want to work only in small scale? Where are you at? Because I know artists go all over the place. They
yeah, and I'm definitely one of those. Like when I paint in oil, watercolor, acrylic, whatever, you know, I can't stick to one medium. But that's why I love miniatures. Like August said, you get to combine different skills: sculpture, painting, building. But I'm really enjoying miniatures, and that at this moment is where my focus lies for sure. I love making unique pieces, like not necessarily replicas of things that exist in the world. And I found in the show that I kind of designed some furniture and made it, and I like to be able to, you know, I can't build a real table in life size, but I can do it in miniature. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I hear you have an Etsy shop that you started, so now you're selling your work, so that's kind of cool.
Well, I've opened it.
Now you got to fill it.
There's nothing for sale there yet.
Okay. Well, we plopped in your social media so people can follow you, look at more of your work, and eventually they can buy from you. So that will be awesome. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you for chatting with us. Let us chat now with Shelly Acker. She's been making miniatures for 25 years. And what's really interesting is there's been an evolution over that time. So let's talk. Oh no, is she here? I hope she's here. Come on, Shelly.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. There, yay! Now I can see you. Tell us about that. So you've been making miniatures for a while, but there is an interesting story behind it in the sense that there's been an evolution over time. So talk about that, and then of course we want to hear about your experience on Best in Miniature.
Totally, a total evolution. I mean, I started, like I say, 25 years ago, 24, 25, something like that, but who's counting? Just as a hobby, you know, something you did on weekends or maybe an evening here or there, and just sort of toyed around with it in an environment, small town, Nova Scotia, didn't know that anyone else did this. And over time, I gradually found that there were indeed more people who like to make miniatures. I thought maybe you needed to make a dollhouse. That's where I started, but that's not my thing. It evolved through all sorts of different ways of, you know, embracing a miniature world to the point now where I really know that I like to make room boxes or dioramas, whichever you choose to call them.
Yeah.
And they can range in any number of subjects. It's just whatever enters my brain. And that's one of the things that I love about miniatures is that there are no rules, not really, only the ones that you want to make yourself or adopt. So, you know, I can go from making a carpenter shop to a New Orleans voodoo shop to a pirate's ship's captain's cabin, you know, you name it.
So you love this world so much you opened up a shop.
I did.
Let's hear about that.
That's where things eventually led. I spent most of my working life working for other people, managing people, and I eventually just couldn't do that anymore. Needed to do something else, and I drove by on my way to work one day and saw this little sign in a window that said "for lease." By the time I'd driven another 3 minutes to my workplace, I thought, I'm going to open a store.
Wow. Wow.
And that's just about as much planning as it took. And
That's
I just took a leap off the ledge and had no regrets.
And here you are. This is 5 years, right?
I've had this shop. It's called Freedom Miniatures. It's in Kentville, Nova Scotia, and I've not regretted it 1 minute.
Wow.
So I've got a brick and mortar store and sell online as well.
Yeah.
And it is the best thing to do because people come in and are to the store and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
I don't need to report to anyone and no one reports to me.
Yeah.
And I get to play with miniatures all day long.
Yeah, I'm so glad you opened up a shop because there are so few shops left. And I think that there's an important component to the miniatures world that we need to see, touch, and feel, which is so important. So I'm so glad that you have a shop, and it's great to hear that you're doing stuff like that. That's great. It's
Well,
all
and
great.
it's not just the ability to touch and feel, which is really important for a lot of people, but also the ability to have a conversation about your project and your miniatures
Yeah,
and the skills that you need. So I
yeah,
have a wide variety of conversations about how to do.
yeah, yeah,
How do you do something? And I love being able to share what I've learned from other people and through my own experience and share it with others just to grow this whole art form, because we
yeah,
can't we just can't risk losing the skills that people have gained over generations.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I just love that ability to interact, and you see the spark come alive as you know, maybe I might suggest a product or a technique, and you can just see the light bulbs
Yeah,
going off, and now
yeah.
they're off and running.
Yeah.
It's just
So
amazing.
between the shops, between the shows, the social aspect is so important. Absolutely. So that's really great. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gonna come back. So hang in,
Okay.
stay tight. We're gonna bring up Arlene Smith uh from the UK, but she's in Canada now. She's been in Canada for a while. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Arlene. Arlene has an incredible background. And I want to we want to hear about all of that, and also about your experience on Best in Miniature. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so delighted to talk to you.
Aw, so tell us everything.
Oh, please.
You have an awesome
Well,
background. So talk about your background in the theater.
yeah, in the theatre 60 years ago almost.
Wow.
And I started in the Royal Shakespeare Company and traveled from there into film, and then came to Canada and worked more in film. And so I have an opportunity to do an awful lot of different things, miniatures being one of them.
Wow. Just wow. So how did that happen? So how did that transition happen into miniatures?
Well, actually made my first miniature. I was thinking about it. I made my first miniature when I was 7 years old, and that's 70 years ago.
Wow.
I made it when I was at school, and I really enjoyed it. And then I put it aside. I put it aside, and excuse me, there's somebody trying to get hold of me here.
It's your fans.
Yeah. And then when I got into film, oftentimes the job was making a miniature, oh dear, I am so sorry.
No, no worries.
Just let me see.
See if it's not urgent.
No, I just don't understand it. Dear. I had thought that this would happen, and I
Yeah,
should.
it's all good.
It will stop in a minute, and I can get my thoughts back again.
Okay, no worries. Take your time.
Yes. So I've forgotten where I was. Yes, I've made miniatures for films.
Yeah.
I've made miniatures for titles. I've learned to do a lot of different things in the past 7 decades.
So, but you also are a jeweler. You have skills in making jewelry, correct?
Yeah, no, I was a jeweler. I made jewelry for films and for Madame Tussauds.
Oh, wow.
And also, yes, and mostly for films. The best was an Egyptian piece, which was another type of miniature because it had tiny cut-out figures on it. And it was a copy of an Egyptian petrel.
So what were some of the processes behind those pieces that you were making for film versus, let's say, some of the process you use today making some of your miniatures, let's say, for dollhouses?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't do miniatures for dollhouses.
You don't?
Miniature theaters, or to do with film, film scenarios. I've never built a doll's house, to tell you the. But actually, being a prop maker and a multidisciplinary, I can't get the words out. My teeth are falling down. Artist means that I've learned to do a lot of things. Years. And I have got a lot of skills. I'm a mistress of nothing.
Yeah.
But I actually know a lot about it. And so that was what was so delightful to go on the show, to meet people.
But the theaters behind you are stunning. So are those look, at least the one on your right hand shoulder looks to be 12 scale. The other one looks just big, but those look appropriately scaled. What are they scaled at?
They're scaled. The actual stage area, both of them are scaled 1 inch to the foot.
Oh, yeah.
And then the scale around it is a different scale, obviously, because I'm building a big building.
Yeah.
So what I'm really concerned about is that it looks like a theater as opposed to a little box with a picture on the front. So the one over this shoulder here is a Shakespearean production that I made.
Wow.
The light and sound production. And this one here is a scene from a silent movie, Son of the Sheep, with Valentino.
And what are some of the materials?
Oh, materials, you name it. There's wood, there's resin, there is gilding, there's fabric, there's plastic, thread, lighting. I mean, you name it. It's all of it. You know, it takes all of that to
just beautiful. And what are some of the pieces right in front of you? Are those musical instruments?
Oh, yes, this little one here is a copy of a musical instrument from another silent movie with Douglas Fairbanks in, and that's the Thief of Baghdad. So this was copied from the silent, and as indeed all these little pieces around here were all from that silent movie.
They look beautiful.
And these ones here are built for a miniature that I'm in the process of finishing, which is a stage setting at the side of the stage. So you imagine you're in the house, and these two figures are waiting to go on stage. So they're very brightly lit side and very dark on the other.
Wow. I'm just struck by my head is spinning by looking at all of the work and how many different skills needed to get those done. Just incredible. Just incredible.
Well, that's very kind of you, but I have lived a long time, so I've picked up a lot of things.
So I'm imagining you were the oldest contestant. How was it being on the show? Did you have a great experience?
Yeah, I was indeed the oldest contestant. Most people were half my age, dear. It was a wonderful experience, and if you look really hard at one of the episodes where they say "make it mini," and everybody's running in all directions, the pig bigger in the back that's kind of doing this.
Wow.
Over the place and all doing things, climbing ladders and opening boxes, and me, I'm kind of like struggling over behind them.
Well, you look awesome and your work is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I appreciate it. All right, so stand by because I'm sure we have some questions for you from attendees. We're going to bring up Jen Arnold. Also into jewelry, another artist who has background in jewelry and making miniatures, but also there's an interesting background in social work, tying it all together. So I want to hear about that and how this is sort of like the happy place for you, and it could be for others. So tell us about your experience on Best in Miniature. Talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I am a social worker by trade, but by birth, I guess I could say I've been an artist. So my family are all artists. So I kind of just have, gone in that path. Miniatures, I started in, I would say about 2007, although I did a dollhouse that my grandma made in the 80s. So I started off with broom boxes, like the little dioramas, and telling stories through that. And then that's kind of what led me to my micro minis. And I do really consider it my self-care. And I think all of us on the panel can agree that it's just, you get into that space and you kind of, you live in what you create in a mini world. And, there's no problems in this mini world.
Yeah, it's so true. Talk about, what are those micro minis? What do you mean by the micro minis? Is that your chosen?
I know that there is a scale, but I'm not professional enough in minis to know. But like this is an example of one of mine. So it literally goes by what can fit in, the base that I have. So some are bigger depending on the size of the miniature.
So you don't allow yourself to fall into creating around a scale. You create to create, and however it turns out. Okay. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you find your experience on Best in Miniature?
Oh, it was amazing. You know what? I put my you know, my insecurities aside. And I just thought, you know what, could be my once in a lifetime 15 minutes of fame. And I just went for it. And yeah, and a lot of people I know said they weren't even surprised I was on it. So yeah, it all feels like a dream. It really does. But I do find really good friends now. I can call lifelong friends.
Yeah, that's nice. That's wonderful. That's so good to hear. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Why don't we bring up everybody's videos? Because I have some questions I have for some of you, or for whoever wants to answer, actually. So I want to bring this back to the Vegas show and the whole minfluencer concept. So you're all going there to as minfluencers. Does somebody want to talk about what that feels like to be a minfluencer and what you think your role is going to be at this show? Who wants to chat? Who wants to tell us about that?
I feel like maybe I should maybe start. I put my glasses on because I realized my eyeballs were going everywhere. I couldn't see. I think I personally, I don't see myself as a minfluencer, which is kind of funny, but I think when I see the people that they do, when they have influencers on, these are people who have tremendous style of whatever it might be, whether they are really good about sharing their passion of miniatures, whether they are people who are really singularly thinking and they have super strong aesthetics. I think it's anybody who keeps people inspired and connected to the miniature world. And I think, you know, I think a lot of people get intimidated about approaching it. So if you have folks that are out there doing it and just making it look easy, making it look fun, that influences folks to come to and closer to it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the fact that you just come from this awesome experience being on Best in Miniature just automatically puts you, you know, in a place of you had this unique experience to talk about miniatures. So it doesn't get better than that. Does anybody else have a perspective on being a minfluencer and what that means and what it might mean in Vegas? Is anybody excited to meet fans? Like, where's your head at? Because you will have fans.
Sure. You know, I've had a little bit of an opportunity to meet a few folks already that have stopped into the store to say they saw the show and really enjoyed it. And that's been a fun experience, something I'm not sure that I expected. I don't know why, but as to being a minfluencer, I'm not sure yet. I don't know quite what that is. We'll figure it out as we go along, but it sure is fun being able to answer questions and talk about miniatures all the time.
Who's gonna go ahead.
I don't think any of them really know what the minfluencer program is, but they're all might be, like Susan said, intimidated by it. But in all honesty, it's literally just sharing your experience. And you guys have been, like he said, just on the show with Best in Miniature. You know, it's a big show. A lot of people know you guys now. They follow you. There's no real, you know, criteria to being one. We just want you to come, bring excitement, you know, get your phones out, take videos, meet and greet with people, you know, no, it's not a big job. It's actually really fun. It's really easy. We're just going to get to meet and greet, meet people. And really all it is just coming in an environment together and just kind of just sharing your experience and meeting people and having fun and obviously cross promoting brands. We want to promote you. We want you to promote us. And so,
because this is a very social category of life, this hobby. So it is so important that we get together and chat and see each other. For some of you, I understand it is your very first show. Who's attending this miniature show for the first time? August. Oh, and Mike. So tell us what it like. You're going to a show for the first time. How excited are you? I mean, I don't know what my question is. Tell me about August. What do you think? You're going to your first mini show.
I'm super excited. Like, I didn't know this world really existed. Back in November, I went to the show in Cherry Hill.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. And that was my first exposure to anything like on that great scale. So being exposed to this new world, I feel like I finally found my people.
Oh, nice. That's perfect.
Really looking forward to and Vegas is like my second home, so to bring two things that I love together, it's gonna be so exciting.
Awesome. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be around a bunch of like-minded creative individuals and then see the cast again. Again, they're like family. And so
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be there. And, I know this is the fourth year for it, but, it's still relatively new. And it's fun to be there this early as a potential men influencer with this community. I love this community, and it's a very positive community. And I'm just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Anybody else want to share about being at their first miniature show or anything about the Vegas show or being a minfluencer? Anybody have any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Excited to be going. Because I love these people and I can't wait to see them all again. And it's just a sad thing we won't see Elliot because, on the show, because he was such a nice man, and we're in touch. But it would be lovely to see him at the show. So I'm excited about going because I like to see other scales of miniatures and other people's approach to miniatures besides the dollhouse. I'm hoping to see people who build theaters.
Right.
Or things like that.
Dollhouse is not a bad word.
No, dollhouse is not a bad word. And neat.
It's amazing that Best in Miniature brought, like you said, such an array of different, artists and skills and stuff. And that's the concept of MiniCon, is like diorama and die cast and clay arts. And, I think that Best in Miniature cast and season 3 represents exactly what IMOMA and what we want to create as a show. And it incorporates Dollhouse, yes, but our goal is to build that show circuit to be something so much bigger on a scale that, like you said, represents so many different facets of creativity in the miniature. This cast does that. So I think it's awesome.
And it's what's been missing in the mini world for a very long time, if it's ever even been there. So what you're doing with the Vegas show is fantastic, Lisa. And the fact that you guys are all going to be representing this whole big new world of miniatures that's not just about Dollhouse. And let's not be afraid of the word Dollhouse, because but they're okay too. Dollhouse are okay too. So it's just absolutely. It's all about
the Dollhouse.
All about the
I
miniature.
sell dollhouse furniture.
All about the miniature. So yeah. Anybody else have anything? And we have any questions from folks on the chat box before we wrap up and let folks go home and go to the Super Bowl or watch the Super Bowl? So when is the Vegas show? So the Vegas show is the 21st, right, Lisa? It starts on the 21st for the whole. Actually, say the dates again, Lisa, if you don't mind.
21st is the setup day for wholesale dealers, and then the wholesale show is Thursday, Friday, the 22nd, 23rd. Our retail show starts on the Saturday, the 24th, and the 25th, Saturday, Sunday.
So it's the 2 days is really the retail show and the fun part.
Days.
Yeah.
The wholesale show is fun too.
Yes, no, of course, of course.
We have, I believe, over 85 registered right now wholesale buyers coming.
Wow.
So that's
awesome. That's awesome.
Really
Me and how many more? Yeah, 80 some more.
Wow. Evelyn wants to know, is this going to be recorded? I think you're talking about this Meet the Miniaturist. This is being recorded and I'm going to post it onto YouTube probably tomorrow. How many dealers at the retail show is the question?
The retail show, I think we're at 70.
70. Wow. Nice. Very nice. It's a nice size show.
The good thing about our numbers is that, it didn't grow phenomenally since from second to third, but I think that we're getting a lot of newer artisans and we're getting a lot of different genres, which is what we wanted to do. We first started off as wholesale only, our first annual. So our second and third annual, it was, we added that retail portion. So we're really new and we're really trying to draw in not just the dealer side, but the buyer side, from the diorama world, the Barbie world, the terrain building, the film, like theater. Everything everybody in here does, like they know artisans in those fields that don't know anything about a miniature show circuit. And that's what the influencer program is for us all to help spread the word, to get those other types of artisans so that we can have like a real mini con to come to every year and have free meetings with BIM and
Well, I love what you're doing and I love what you all have done. Congratulations on being involved in Best in Miniature and spreading the word about miniatures and being so involved that you're an influencer. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys at home for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great show, guys. Okay. And have fun. And thank you for being on. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.